Hello there everyone, how you doing today? I hope you're all well. Today we're going into r/boomers being fools, where boomers are in fact being fools. If you enjoy today's stories, remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, and all that other wonderful stuff. Now without further ado, let's get started, shall we? Boomer stormed into my house and made demands. We just moved to a new house. It's at the end of a cul-de-sac, so not a ton of room for the large moving truck. The driver said he would move the truck as needed, if any neighbor needed it out of their way. About 2 hours into the move, I hear some new voices at the front of the house. I instantly get nervous because my grand piano is being unloaded by the driver and crew. As I go to check it out, I hear the boomer yell from the stairs inside my house at the mover to move his truck immediately. As he was carrying my Steinway, the driver said, "Sure thing. Let me put this down and I'll move it." The boomer screeched louder that his wife is ready to leave and needs to go. My wife walked up to the boomer and said, "Hi, I'm insert wife's name here. We'll get the truck to move. Please lower our house now." The boomer got pale once he realized he was no longer talking to workers that he could demean and left. The driver put the piano in place and moved the truck. We later met him again and he half-assedly apologized, but also informed us that he's on the HOA board, so oh boy, fun times ahead, ain't it? Oh, please kill us now. That's the first story of the day. Now on to our next story. Let me just find one real quick. Boomer wants to barter at the dispensary. I, 38 male, wanted to pick up some smokables from the dispensary, so I placed an order online and went to the store to pick it up. As I'm standing in line, I notice that this boomer is getting a very large order, consisting mostly of gummies, about 10 packs, and a few small jars of flour. The cashier scans his order and says, "Your total comes to $349.51. Will that be cash or card?" And he looks down at his items and back up at the man behind the counter and says, "That's only like $50 to $60 worth of stuff." The cashier looks down at the pile of items and back up at the boomer and says, "It's $349.51, sir. The prices are non-negotiable." The boomer says, "Prices are always negotiable. I'll give you $100, but that's it." So the cashier asks him, "What would you like to put back?" The boomer looks at him confused and says, "Nothing, of course. Why would I want you to put it back?" The cashier, bless his infinite patience, says, "If you only want to spend $100, what do you want to put back?" The boomer says, "No, you don't understand. I want it all. I'm just not paying $300 whatever for it." And the cashier finally says, "That's not how it works. The prices are fixed. Either you pay the full $349.51 or you don't get your full order." The boomer turns purple, the anger welling in his face. "I can't believe you people charge this much for this fucking shit. Used to be you could get an ounce for $50. The cashier, now fully over it, says, "Do you want it or not? We have other customers to serve." And he gestures towards the ever-growing line. All of us were just fascinated watching the boomer out in the wild complaining that it's not 1975 anymore. The boomer glances at us, who are all openly staring at him, and back to the cashier and says, "Fine," and hands over a card. The cashier looks down and says, "Oh, we don't take American Express, sir." The boomer ripped the card back out of his hands and asks, "Do you have a fucking ATM then?" "Yes, sir." Over in the corner. The boomer stomps across the room, and the cashier calls me up. That'll be $87.46, please, he says. I'll give you $50, I say. We both burst out laughing as I hand him the $100. As I walked out, the boomer was yelling at the ATM for charging him $4. Of course you gotta love a boomer not wanting to admit it's the modern day. The indignity of the $4 ATM charge has got me howling. On to our next story. Let me just find it. My friend's boomer father earns about $80K a year. He bought his home, a 4-bedroom, 2-story, with swimming pool in 2005 for about $175,000. 20 years on, he still owes the entire principal balance and is about to lose the home because he can't afford the payments anymore. These boomers literally had life handed to them and they still screwed it up. Seriously, that's over $1 million in income after taxes. And he literally has never made a single payment on the house. They have only ever paid off the interest. And yes, it's the typical checklist. Is he a Trumper? Yeah. Is he an alcoholic? You know it. Divorced his wife being dogmatic Christians? You know it. I was spanked and I turned out fine. Oh, you absolutely know it. The list goes on and on. I feel bad for my friend having to deal with the fallout from his insert mentally disabled slur father, but I have absolutely zero sympathy for the man himself. And yes, this is a true story. And now for our last story of the day. Let me just find it. VFW meeting out of control. I'm a 57-year-old Army veteran of Desert Storm. 2 years ago, I bought a house in a tiny conservative Washington town. I love my community even though I'm a super lefty, so I decided to try again in the local VFW. My first meeting was last night. There were 10 people there, including me. It started out fine. The commander was going through the schedule smoothly until the last item, a new, bigger veteran memorial being installed for reveal on November 11th, Veterans Day. Apparently the chaplain guy had an issue with the removal of the old one, which he didn't think is being removed fast enough. As VD is 6 weeks away, we had already decided the commander would contact appropriate people to remind them it's fast approaching. The chaplain went ballistic. He sniffled and complained that nobody was listening to him. The commander assured him he was being listened to and that everything was in the works, and he would contact the removal company tomorrow. This still, obviously, was not fast enough for the boomer. The chaplain was now yelling and saying, "It's not fast enough! Why hadn't it already been done? It's going to cost more than estimated because..." He just wouldn't stop. So finally another member said, "Chaplain, you don't have to yell. We are sitting right here." Now the chaplain is screaming like a 70-year-old toddler. The member just walked out of the meeting. Screamer literally sat right next to me screaming. As a retired SPED high school teacher, it took all I had to just sit there and not say anything. The commander did nothing because I have a major anxiety disorder and PTSD. I had taken half a Xanax before I left for this meeting, and I think that's the only reason I didn't have an anxiety attack. It's always the Vietnam boomers that make doing or joining anything related to veterans intolerable. After sleeping on it, I have a call into the commander. I'm going to quote the VFW pamphlet he gave me last night and tell him to either get these men in order and get a sergeant in arms to do it, or I'm out. As one of the youngest retired people in our unit, I was hoping to get involved. Thanks for listening. The irony of the chaplain being the one that acted that way isn't lost at me. I'm an atheist, and I'd never act that way to my brothers in arms. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I'm a gal, so they probably won't take anything I say seriously. Anyway, that's the end of today's video. If you enjoyed, remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, and all that wonderful stuff. Now, I will see you all next time. Hasta la pasta. Woo!